Déjà vu is not a memory, it's a temporal seizure. The cup tips before you touch it. Your heart jumps because you know, absolutely know. The barista will laugh, the door will chime, and a siren will pass outside. Then the laugh lands, the chime rings, and the siren wails like a line you've already read. For a split second, reality feels rigged. Get this, your brain isn't recalling a memory. It's mislabeling time. A temporal sequencing glitch, sometimes a microseizure in the temporal lobe, stamps old on what's new. In the next minutes, the misfire, the three faces, the panic trap, the reset, and red flags. One ignored detail predicts where the panic snowballs. Rewinding to the moment it breaks. You're in a coffee shop you've never visited. Steam lifts off the espresso machine. A spoon clinks, your phone buzzes. Nothing dramatic, until that snap. It's not a thought, it's a stamp. Your chest tightens. You feel pulled to prove it. Your eyes start hunting for the next beat you remember. Your prediction urge spikes. And your heartbeat answers, faster, louder now. This moment matters because your safety system takes its cues from consistency. When the world mislabels itself, your threat circuits light up. Not because a danger appears, but because uncertainty does. Ambiguity feels like losing the rails of the present. Control slips, even if nothing around you changes. To understand why it happens, we need the brain's timestamp system. Two fast partners normally keep your experience straight. One handles the quick, fuzzy sense that something feels known. The other supplies the details of when and where it was known. When they work in sync, familiar and remembered line up, and your mind moves on without a ripple. Here's where it breaks. The fast known signal fires first and loud, while the slower remembered system doesn't deliver a matching scene. Your brain hates that mismatch. It solves the conflict by inferring a story. I've lived this before. Then it tries to prove itself right. That's when your eyes grab for the next moment, and your body gears up like you're stepping into a moving stream you've already crossed. A microstory. You lean to pick up your cup and feel certainty wash over you. The barista will ask, oat or whole? You brace for it. When he says exactly that, the floor tilts. You swear you can feel arrows pointing through time. Next, the sleeve slips. Next, a couple near the window stands. You hold your breath. The sleeve slips. They stand. The relief is tiny and brutal at the same time. You think, see? I knew it. Then the panic widens because if you knew it, what else is already written? That urge to predict the exact next beat is gasoline. It turns a momentary mislabel into a spiraling proof loop. The more you anticipate, the more each match feels like evidence. The more evidence, the more your body surges. Meanwhile, your time perception speeds up. Milliseconds stretch. A normal glance contains more frames. That extra granularity makes scenes feel storyboard, which feeds the loop again. Why does panic start for some and not others? Intensity, duration, and confidence. If the familiarity signal is mild and fades within a few seconds, your brain chalks it up to noise. But when the sensation is strong, stretches past half a minute, and carries high subjective certainty, I know what happens next. Your appraisal changes. You don't just notice a glitch, you judge it. You assign meaning, a sign, a warning, a loss of agency. That meaning fuels fear. There's another layer. When you can't anchor new versus old, depersonalization can creep in. The room looks the same, but tags feel unreliable, so you feel slightly outside yourself, like you're watching a live feed with a half-second delay. That distance is protective, but it also unnerves you. You check harder, faces, light, hum of the grinder, seeking one stable hook. Ironically, the checking inflates the sensation that something is off. Let's be clear, not all Déjà experiences sit on the same shelf. Some are everyday anomalies, fleeting, harmless, and more frequent when you're tired, stressed, or overstimulated. Others cluster, stretch longer, and come bundled with bodily cues. A rise in the stomach, a metallic tang, a wave of heat, brief narrowing of awareness. Those patterns push the experience toward a clinical window we'll explore shortly. Before we go there, reset expectations. You're not broken. Your brain is resolving a conflict between two useful systems that usually help you stay oriented. The quick familiarity circuit prevents you from relearning your keys every day. The detailed recollection circuit lets you place those keys in last night's jacket. A small timing skew can make the present feel out of order. That's unsettling, not catastrophic. One more microscene. The door opens. A draft of cold air folds into the smell of coffee. Your mind whispers, blue scarf next. You catch yourself leaning forward, waiting to confirm it. That lean is the moment to watch. It's the hinge. Leaning into prediction links your identity to the glitch's script. Describing the present, what is not what will be, breaks the link. We'll build a protocol for that, but hold the move in mind. What nobody tells you at first is that the panic doesn't come from the sensation alone. It comes from trying to resolve it too fast. You demand certainty before your slower system can weigh in. You overrule the natural lag with a hard verdict. This is fate, or this is danger. That verdict recruits your body. Your heart obeys. Your breath shortens. The room edges sharpen. And still, you can choose a different sequence. Spot the mislabel. Name it precisely. Let the slower system catch up while your hands do something small and concrete. When that happens, the floor relevels. The scene becomes just a scene again. To understand the mechanics behind that mislabel, and why, when it intensifies, clinicians start asking different questions, we need to zoom into the brain's timestamp system itself. The fast familiarity signal and the slower recollection engine, where they live, how they sync, and what happens when they don't. The brain's timestamp system, familiarity versus recollection. To understand that hinge we flagged, the lean into prediction, we need the two clocks that keep you oriented. One is quick and fuzzy, the other is slower and rich. Together, they stamp experience with known and known from where. When they sync, life feels continuous. When they don't, the present gets misfiled as the past. Start with familiarity. It's a fast yes/no pulse. Have I encountered this pattern before? That signal rides the pararhinal cortex and neighboring rhinal regions in the medial temporal lobe. It doesn't care about birthdays, addresses, or who was there. It's a vibe detector built for speed. Your brain evolved it so you could recognize food, faces, and threats without rerunning a full documentary every time. Now recollection. That's the hippocampus and its looped conversations with cortex. It's slower because it rebuilds context. Where, when, with whom, in what sequence. It pulls scenes back together from fragments, sights, sounds, smells, stored across the brain. When recollection lands, you can place a memory on the map of your life. It's the difference between, I know this face, and I met her at the Tuesday seminar in March. Here's the usual dance. Pararhinal fires first, familiar. The hippocampus checks. Do we have an episode that fits? If yes, you get a crisp recall. Oh, right, that cafe from last summer. If no, the system tags the input as new but similar and moves on. You don't notice any of this because timing differences are tiny, tens to hundreds of milliseconds. The glitch is a desync. Familiarity goes loud, and the hippocampus doesn't supply a matching episode quickly enough. Your interpreter, the part of you that insists on coherent stories, hates unresolved signals, so it patches the gap with an inference. If it feels known that strongly, I must have lived it. That's déjà vu. Not a memory retrieved, but a mismatch explained on the fly. Think two clocks in one building. One runs a hair fast, the other a hair slow. If the fire alarm is tied to the fast clock, it can trigger before the slower one updates the schedule. People rush out, then realize no smoke. In the brain, the alarm is the familiarity spike. The update is recollection catching up. Most days, the clocks drift with intolerance. On certain days, fatigue, stress, overstimulation, or random variance, the drift widens and alarms misfire. Clinicians learn this pattern the hard way. In people with temporal lobe epilepsy, stimulating the rhinal cortex with implanted electrodes can provoke intense déjà sensations, far more reliably than stimulating the hippocampus, reported by intracranial stimulation studies from epilepsy centers in the 1990s, 2000s. That doesn't mean the hippocampus is off duty. It means that familiarity machinery can drive the feeling even when recollection is intact, or temporarily outpaced. The point for you: the sensation can be generated by the known module alone. Meanwhile, your decision-making regions in frontal cortex have to call the play. Do we treat this as a memory or as a perception glitch? Under stress, frontal control narrows. You default to certainty, pick a lane quickly. That bias is useful when you're facing a real threat. It's unhelpful when the threat is an internal timing error. The speed of your certainty becomes the fuel. And there's a kicker. When familiarity goes up but recollection stays blank, your metacognition, your sense of knowing what you know, enters conflict. You're aware you shouldn't feel this sure, yet you do. That conflict is aversive by itself. The body responds. Elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, a readiness to resolve the mismatch. Under load, metacognitive monitoring can flip from helpful to hazardous. Scrutinizing your own thoughts increases there. Strangeness, which your threat system misreads as signal. That readiness is what you felt in the coffee shop as a tug toward prediction. So why does the barista's exact phrasing feel like proof? Pattern completion. The hippocampus is a master at filling gaps when cues rhyme with past patterns. Slightly similar lighting, cadence, scent, or layout can let it autofill the next frame, whether or not it's the same place. Your internal storyboard gets a boost from tiny overlaps you don't consciously register. The more you attend to the script, the more features you harvest that seem to match. Flip perspectives for a second. From the brain's point of view, déjà vu is a sane solution to an imperfect signal. It's trying to reconcile a loud familiarity vote with a missing episode. The solution, declare prior experience, is wrong in content, but reasonable in form. That's why arguing with the feeling rarely helps. It's not a belief you can debate. It's a label that arrived pre-verbal. What helps is giving the slower system time to land and offering it fresh detail. Novel detail nudges recollection to either assemble a real source or to affirm, no match, this is new. That's why grounding in specific sensory facts, the scratch in the table, the exact date, the unique sticker on the espresso machine, can loosen the feeling. You're feeding evidence to the part that arbitrates. Where did this come from? One more human beat. People high in anxiety or sleep-deprived report stronger familiarity bursts and weaker confidence in recollection. Not because they're broken, but because both states bias the system towards speed over detail. Less sleep impairs hippocampal consolidation and slows retrieval. Anxiety primes fast alarms. Put those together, and the clocks drift just enough to produce more mislabels. Clinical and cognitive studies converge here. Sleep restriction inflates false familiarity, and arousal pushes the system toward gist over detail. Conditions under which déjà labels are more likely to misfire. Meanwhile, something else is happening in the background. Each time you choose prediction, you convince the interpreter that a story exists to be retrieved. Each time you choose description, what is right now, you let both clocks resync. We'll use that leverage soon. First, we need to see how, when the familiarity spike becomes a wave and brings bodily auras along, clinicians start thinking about a different window entirely. The temporal lobe seizure window, TLE. While that coffee shop glitch is resolving in most people within seconds, there's a neighboring lane where the feeling arrives with passengers. Clinicians call it an aura, early activity in the temporal lobe that can precede a focal seizure. It doesn't look like movie seizures. No convulsions, no collapse. It's internal and vivid. A strong déjà vu, a rising wave in the stomach, a metallic taste, heat up the chest, sound and time bending for half a minute. As far back as 1888, neurologist John Huglings Jackson described a dreamy state with experiential familiarity and visceral waves in temporal lobe epilepsy, an early clinical window into what many now report. Get specific. People describe a fast elevator feeling starting under the ribs, a copper or battery taste, a smell like hot dust or singed toast, a sudden tunnel of attention, language going grainy, faces feeling paper thin, and time thickening. Frames stutter, then resume. Sometimes the mouth makes tiny chewing motions, a hand rubs a seam, eyes fix. Awareness narrows, then it lifts. Memory for the minute can be Swiss cheesed. Microseizure is a useful phrase here. Brief, focal bursts of synchronized firing in temporal networks, often mesial structures. The hippocampus, amygdala, and the rhinal cortices that carry familiarity. In lab settings with implanted electrodes, stimulating the rhinal cortex can evoke intense déjà sensations more reliably than hippocampal stimulation. That tells you why the known signal can feel so authoritative. It's not a fantasy, it's a circuit being driven. Patterns matter. Clinicians watch three things: frequency, duration, and awareness. Frequency spikes, several episodes clustering over days or weeks. Raise eyebrows. Duration pushing past 30 to 60 seconds with a slow build and clear bodily accompaniments moves it toward a clinical picture. Impaired awareness, blank look, pause mid-sentence, later patchy recall, signals an event that isn't just a curiosity. There's also the company it keeps. Auras can come as déjà vu coupled with rising nausea, fear without a target, a metallic tang, a warmth spreading from the epigastrium, distortions in sound, voices suddenly far away, or microautomatism. Lip smacks, finger rubbing, shirt picking. Friends might notice you checking out for 20 seconds. You might come back with the sense that something passed through, like weather. Case series and stimulation reports from epilepsy centers, e.g., Rhinal/mesial temporal stimulation producing Déjà sensations, support why the known signal can feel authoritative when these features cluster. Why does this threshold matter? Safety and assessment. Most fleeting Déjà experiences are benign. But if episodes are longer, frequent, or paired with impaired awareness, it's not about willpower or meaning. It's about evaluating an excitable patch of cortex. Not because catastrophe is looming, but because targeted treatment can lower risk of losing awareness at a stove, on a bike, in traffic, and restore confidence. Myth-busting is important here. Déjà vu alone does not equal epilepsy. Lots of healthy people experience Déjà episodes, especially under sleep debt, stress, or overstimulation. The difference is pattern. In temporal lobe epilepsy, Déjà sensations are often stronger, more embodied, and embedded among other auras or seizures. Survey data suggest Déjà reports are markedly more common in temporal lobe epilepsy. Around 1 in 5 patients is almost equal to 19.6%, than in generalized epilepsies is almost equal to 3%, though methods vary across studies. Even then, context drives decisions. Neurologists have documented Déjà-like auras arising outside the classic mesial temporal focus, so localization isn't one-to-one either. Think of thresholds, not labels. Under threshold, brief, rare, fully aware, no bodily wave. Resolves in under 20 seconds, no clustering. Over threshold, frequent clusters, episodes stretching past a minute, clear autonomic signs, awareness narrowed, post-event fatigue or headache, and witnesses noting pauses. That's when clinicians consider EEG, sometimes ambulatory, recording to catch events, and imaging to look for structural hints. Many people with these patterns respond well to medication that calms hyperexcitable circuits. Some need none. Monitoring and lifestyle shifts stabilize things. A few pursue surgical or device options after careful mapping. For reference, Déjà-like auras are reported substantially more often in temporal lobe epilepsy cohorts than in generalized epilepsies, a pattern echoed in intracranial mapping studies. There's a human microstory woven through this. A barista, steady, precise, starts having minute-long spells. Déjà hits hard, stomach lifts, a wash of heat, a metallic edge, words turn cotton. Co-workers notice a freeze with subtle lip movements. He shrugs it off as stress until episodes cluster. Neurology visits, EEG catches temporal spikes, MRI is clean. A low-dose medication and consistent sleep cut the episodes to nearly zero. His relief isn't mystical, it's practical. He can steam milk again without bracing for a wave. Literary history even echoes this pattern. Fyodor Dostoevsky, who lived with temporal lobe epilepsy, wrote about intense aura-like states of heightened clarity and familiarity that preceded events, proof that these internal storms have been narrated from the inside. Meanwhile, for many of you, naming the aura window is already calming. It separates harmless glitches from patterns worth a look. It also stops the spiritual trap from swallowing a clinical issue or turning a benign blip into an omen. If your experience lives on the benign side, you still get tools. If it drifts toward the clinical side, you get a path, not a verdict. Here's the bridge back to our story. The misfire we traced, familiarity outrunning recollection, sits on the same circuitry that, when pushed harder and longer, produces auras. Same street, different traffic. That's why your body's add-ons matter. They're not drama, they're data. In a moment, we'll map how Déjà splits into 3 faces that feel different because they're tilted toward different subsystems. Knowing which one you meet helps you decide whether to breathe, to reset, or to call a neurologist.